Thank you for calling 1-800-SAD-DESIGN. We are your hosts, Ayden and Ty. And we're so excited to get this started today. How are you feeling after our first episode, Ty?
Good. I feel relieved that it's out and everything we've done is out there. We reached all of our deadlines. I don't think there was anything we really skipped, right?
Don't think so.
So I'm definitely happy that we got all of it done and it came out pretty much the way we intended it to. Yeah. Mentally exhausted, I also think. Working on it for so long.
Yeah.
And then now that it's all out, it's like, I'm going to take a break. And then we took like a 1.5 week long break.
Yeah, we didn't talk or anything for a week.
No.
It was released and we were like, see you in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Well, you were like, I'm going to schedule all these to post. We don't have to worry about it. I was like, all right, perfect.
Yeah, the week of release, I didn't want to worry about anything. So we just scheduled everything and we're like, let's take a step back and let it all happen.
And then literally, I mean, I realized it last weekend. I was like, we got to start thinking of the next one. I was like, we have enough time.
Yeah.
And then you messaged me. I was like, yeah, it'd probably be best to figure it all out.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I think it feels good to have it done for sure.
It's a relief.
But now the pressure is on to
keep it going.
To keep it going.
Keep it going and getting better.
For our first episode, the reception's been pretty decent so far.
Yeah.
Got a couple good YouTube comments and stuff going on.
Oh, I haven't even looked. I forgot it was on YouTube, honestly.
Yeah. Now we're just hoping for more engagement.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of hard when it's like literally right now all it is like friends and family. And it's like you either have your graphic design friends or your family who probably don't know a lot. I mean,
yeah.
Some of them might, but I think getting that engagement, especially like with the font of the week, it's like kind of hard.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll definitely get there. I think it'll be better when we like start reaching students, like who are getting into it.
Yeah.
And like, I want to sharpen my skills a little bit, and then they try it, and then, so yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, it's just a slow process, you know. You just have to, we're literally starting from the bottom, and then we have to make all the way up that hill.
Yeah. I'm proud of all the work we've done so far, though.
I am too. I'm really proud with the video.
Yeah.
That's my bread and butter. But yeah, everything else I'm really happy with too.
Me too.
And it's just a fun little project.
Yeah.
You know? Who doesn't love that?
It's definitely been keeping my mind off the stresses of everything else.
Of life.
And trying to find other jobs and stuff. So
yeah.
It's been
job hunts.
Been the perfect creative outlet.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I've put so much like energy and creativeness into this, or when I look at other things, I'm like, man, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
It's like, is this good? I'm like, I don't know if that's good, but I'm just going to do it and leave it.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
But yeah, now that's kind of slowly, at least like the creativeness wise, like it's kind of slowing down to like a consistent point. So now I can start working on other things again. So that's a plus.
Yeah, that was one good thing during our little 1.5 week break between the first release is finally being able to work on something else for a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What have you been working on?
I've been working on this research paper that I'm getting paid to do by a professor, and I'm just designing like the layout, the formatting and everything, and doing some charts for it. And the charts have been the biggest struggle so far because I'm like, I'm not a scientist. I don't know what any of this means. I'm trying to take all the information you're giving me and display it visually.
Yeah.
And I hope I'm doing it effectively. That makes sense, you know, for other researchers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the project I've been working on since release day. What about you? Are you working on anything?
Um, design wise, I've been just working on a couple things for my brother, just like flyers and stickers, and he's trying to like talk me into making some like merch things for him for his like school club and his like cohort or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I've been debating on that. I was like, I don't know. Is it time to get back into it? I don't know. But yeah, it's been nice because he's given me, at least with these flyers, he's given me deadline. I think that's good because at first I was like, yeah, it doesn't say till it's November, so I have till November.
Yeah.
But he needs it tomorrow.
Oh no.
But I think I'm like a solid 70% done, so I'm at a pretty good point.
Yeah.
Um, Now I'm kind of just debating if I want to put it in color or keep it like black and white. I mean, it's not like, based on what he said, it's not like your traditional flyer that like post up. It's like, it looks like it would be in a book. His example has like the 3 punches on the left for a binder, so I was like, all right, is this really a flyer? But yeah, maybe he'll get a couple different versions. I don't know.
We'll figure it out. Work better under pressure, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely. He doesn't understand that that's the process is you wait till the last minute.
Yeah,
which is quite literally what I'm going to be doing
me
today.
with the paper too. I have to get a draft by next week, and like I did not work on it for a while, and was like, oh, that's next week. Okay, I really need to get working.
Yeah,
on that.
you're like, shoot, it's getting pretty close.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely how I am right now. But I mean, I know it'll get done. He doesn't think it will, but I know. I tell him this is normal.
Yeah.
This is just how I work.
Yes.
Probably not the best way though. There's like some things where it's like I get it done right away. But then when it's like stuff like this where you need time to like think about it all.
Yeah.
Cuz like I'm making a flyer for all these medical people. And I was like that's pretty lame. So I was like trying to make it a little cooler, stylized a little bit. And then now I'm like colors wise is like do I want it to be like his school colors or like medical colors or party colors. So yeah. It's a fun little challenge, I'd say.
Yeah.
Fun little challenge.
The best ideas do come at 3 a.m, though, I will say.
I don't think I'm ever up at 3 a.m.
Really? I've done it a few times.
I think the longest I've ever stayed up working on something was probably like 1 or 2. And then I just call it. I'm like, that's it for today. That's it.
No, when the sleepy delirium sets in, that's when the best ideas come to me.
Yeah. I try not to like, when it comes to those last day like sessions, I try not to stay up late or normally just work on it throughout the whole day.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a lot, yeah.
You're probably smarter for that, let me say.
Well, I'd say it's a lot easier to do that as a student just because you have a little more time to do that. And it's like, I just go to the library to work on it all.
Yeah.
But now I'm like stuck here. I'm like, oh, I can go on a bike ride. Oh, I can play some games. I'm not going to do this. I'll do it later.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I should go back and do that.
Yeah.
So yeah. But it's a process. It's a process we all know. Right?
Yeah, everyone has their own creative strategy to figuring out their
yeah, everyone's
There's a whole bunch of different stuff.
There's people who like wake up super early because they work better in the morning. There's others who stay up late because they work better at night.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a midday worker. Like, get a solid lunch in.
Yeah, I'm a midday, late night.
I think like from 12 all the way to night is like the prime time. But any sort of inconvenience that can like distract me, like driving home or moving from point A to point B, then I'm like, yeah, all right, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done.
It's not happening again today.
Yeah. Yeah.
I get that.
I don't know if anyone else is really like that, you know? Like working in an office. I feel like I'd hate that. Like you're sitting in a cubicle the whole time,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
I think I'd struggle just like the first 2 hours of being in an office. Like in the morning, I just like stare at nothing and be like,
I think I would need at least like a window to look out
yeah,
to be
I
productive.
just need a little bit to get all my thoughts together, and
Yeah.
then I'll be ready to start.
Yeah. I know. That's what I'm afraid of are the cubicle jobs.
Yeah, me too. I'm fine freelancing right now. I'll work at the restaurant and freelance in the meantime. It's fine, right?
I don't know about freelancing. Everyone's always saying how hard it is. So far, I'm not a huge fan. But it's like, it is nice.
Yeah.
But it's hard because you have to like slowly build up that reputation to then where you can start charging higher.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing.
Because it's like all these like professional designers are like, oh, I don't charge anything less than $90 an hour. I'm like,
and
I don't really think I can charge that, because they're going to like look at me and be like,
you're crazy.
$90 and you kind of like just graduated? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it is kind of hard when
I've
it gets to stuff
been
like that.
doing a lot of projects, like freelance projects for like friends and stuff, and they'll pay me, but I can never set a price. And like you said, I'm like, I can't charge $90 an hour. So I'm like, they're like, can I just pay you $75 for like 2 Instagram stories? I'm like, sold. Done. Say
One
less.
thing I've been thinking about is like creating an invoice template. So then you like put on it the actual price, and then below it you do like friend discount. And it's like it's like minus 70%.
Yeah.
Because then it's kind of like, then you have your set prices, and then your friends see it, and they're like, damn, Ayden's actually being really nice to me for doing that.
And with some of them, I figured out the faster I get it done, they sometimes tip me.
Dang.
So I add like 20 extra bucks on it, and I'm like, okay, this is cool. So freelancing for me hasn't been too bad. And yeah, the research paper, pretty good. I'm not going to disclose, but.
But you're feeling good about it?
Yeah.
Okay. That's good, at least. What do your friends want you to design for their social posts?
I've
like advertisement?
Yeah, done that, because a couple of them are like,
like startups,
content creators, startups, small business owners, and so they just want. I've done like music lesson stories. Like this guy wanted a collection of advertising for his music lessons that he was giving, and like YouTube thumbnails for their videos, like templates that they could just like throw their photo in, change the title, have it be done.
You should charge more for the templates. Because it's
I
like,
don't even remember how much I got for that.
It's like a one-time thing, and it's like you just drag and drop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did an embroidery stencil too.
Oh, yeah.
Like I illustrated a stencil for an embroidery project that was going on the back of a leather jacket, and I thought that was so cool.
That sounds pretty cool.
But it's been a whole bunch of random stuff.
Well, that's cool. That's cool that you've been doing all that. I haven't really been doing much.
Yeah. If I wasn't doing all these things, I'd be
going crazy.
Unwell.
Yeah.
Working at the restaurant is hard. I know maybe as a shock since we're doing a podcast, but I'm kind of an introvert, and so by the end of the week, customers just drain the life out of me, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me. Don't ask me for another cup of water.
Well,
I might throw it on you.
I don't even work like in the restaurant scene, but sometimes just working with people at the trophy shop, I'm like, oh my God, I just want to go home. I just want to go home and either go to sleep, play some games, or just work on something else. Because I can't stand them.
No. And that's why I think graphic design is like the perfect job for us, because we can kind of keep to ourselves.
Yeah, but when it comes to like talking with clients,
I find that a lot easier than dealing with a 12 top party at the restaurant. I will gladly do that any day.
I think, it is better. It is just like when it comes to that point where they're like, I like that, but I want to go in a different direction. I've had that on me, and I was like, God damn it.
Yeah. I like the problem solving aspect of it though.
Yeah.
How am I gonna fix
It's like
it?
feels fulfilling
Yeah.
when you successfully solve the problem and you're like, yeah, I nailed that one.
And that's why I like it that so much better. That is what works for me.
Yeah.
I guess that's a good segue to ask the question: how did you get into graphic design, Ty?
Yeah, that's today's
What got you
good. That's a
here?
good old. That's today's good old topic.
Yeah.
Honestly, picked graphic design as my major randomly. I can't even like. I think when I was, well, first like in high school, my initial reaction to college was like, eh, I'm just gonna get a job. Like, why do I need to go to college? And then my mom was really just like, mom talk, whatever, and like, it'll be better for jobs. Not really right now, but all that type of talk. And then I was like, I like to sketch and I like computers. And then I was kind of just like looking through the list, and I was like, well, first it was like, as a kid, I was like, engineering sounds pretty fun because my dad was doing it and we were like pretty hands on as kids. And then I did some research. I was like, no, too much math. No. I was like, but I did like math in high school. Like I'd say I was pretty good. I'd say my downfall was not taking a math class my senior year, and then I forgot everything. I was like, oh my God, I feel so dumb right now. And that's kind of why I took, like, anyways. But basically, pick graphic design because it's a mixture of, I thought, totally wrong. Well, it's still right, but I like computers. Like, I build computers and stuff. And then I just like to sketch. I searched and I was like, I think I could do that. I think I can do that for 4 years. Also, I think my mindset was, I just need to be there for 4 years. In and out. Like, that was my thing. My thing was like, pick a school, 4 years there, and then I moved back home to California. That was like my mindset for the first 2 years. And then, so I'd say it was a pretty bad mindset. Pretty bad start.
What changed? Did it change for you?
It definitely did change. Well, it's like, the first 2 years, I'd say it was pretty bad. One,
we entered
COVID.
at a really bad time.
Well, it's just like COVID was just bad. And then the program, pretty bad. And it's just like and like those first 2 years are like your gen eds. So you're like, what's the point of taking all these classes? I'm never going to need them. Like biology. Why do I need to know about biology? It's cool when you get to the labs, but the lectures, man, they suck. English, I don't even remember anything from those classes. It's just a lot of essays. History, I care less about. Even art history, man, I don't like it. I think it's just history in general. But then it's like you start, like when you make it into the program, you start taking all those classes. You're actually learning about what graphic design is. Because I don't know about you. When I got into it, I thought it was like, it is logos, but I thought it was just logos. And then literally the first like legit classes you take, it's like, it's like typography.
Yeah.
Anything with type is graphic design. And that's like literally everything. So then I was like, oh, there's more. Okay. And then it was like, they started talking about like all the hand process work and just like started making us read books about design, just looking at design in the world. And I was like, I'm kind of liking this.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah. And then basically from there kind of just led to like the kind of designer I am now. So yeah, I'd say it was a huge change in mentality, and I don't think anyone, like now saying this and people will probably listen, they're like, I didn't think Tyra was like thinking like that, you know?
Yeah.
Like people look at me, I'm just a quiet kid in the back of the classrooms. I'm just there to get the grade pretty much, like, well, I was going to say I would show up to class, but that's wrong until they changed that rule. But yeah, just show up to class, turn everything in, get the grades, and then be on my way. But then it changed to being there, like, I wouldn't really talk in class, I'd say, but kind of just like listen to everyone, take in all these different ideas, and, kind of just like improve my own skills. So yeah, definitely changed.
Yeah, and it's surprising to me too, because like we didn't become close until this like last year of our program.
Well, it's also like we never worked on a project before,
and we were always on opposite sides of the room, and so it just like we never talked, and you just, to me, across the room always felt like you knew exactly what you're doing. Like you came in knowing what you wanted.
I literally did not. It was literally once I took like hand process and then literally just talked with Brian. I was like, I like this stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I'm going to focus on the rest of my time here. And that's literally what I did. And it was nice.
Yeah.
It was nice, like I figured out my thing. And then I stuck with it, learned about it, improved it, and then, yeah. So, yeah. I don't know if that was really a good story.
I think so.
Does that explain? I don't know. But yeah,
It tells
I was
how
an
you got
artsy,
here.
artsy kid, made a random pick, and then pretty much picked a random, I mean, it wasn't really random, but just picked a school out of state, and then, But yeah.
So Boise State was random too?
No. Well, no. No, not necessarily. It was like, we did a huge college road trip for my oldest brother when he was looking at colleges.
Mm-hmm.
Boise State was one of them. I can't really remember what exactly spoke out to me, but I would say it's the school colors. I told Brian this. He's like, really? I was like, yeah. I just like, well, blue's my favorite color, and orange is like the complementary color to it, or whatever. I was like, yeah, I just like it. And then my mom was like, yeah, you can go.
The fact that is the thing that made you decide what school to go to just says, like,
it's
you chose the right thing to go into as well. Like, that was already a conscious thing.
Yeah, well, it's just like, randomly picked it, and then I'm at this point now, and I was like, it was all meant to be.
Yeah.
Everything happens for a reason. And, yeah. I mean, based on my other options, this is like the best option. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And kind of just me doing me. But, yeah.
I get you.
How did you find graphic design?
Very similarly. I went in not knowing anything.
I think that's everyone, though.
Heard about it before.
No.
Like, I came to college with a completely different major at first. I was originally going to be a music ed major because that's what everyone said I was going to be.
Yeah.
From the time I was little. You're going to be a teacher. And then when I found a passion for music, they were like, oh, so you're going to be a music teacher. Everyone just kept telling me, you're going to be a music teacher, you're going to be a music teacher. And so that's just like the idea that I was given, and I went with it. But it was I love music, but it was starting to feel very monotonous. It was the same thing every single day. Practice, theory. And I was like, this isn't working for me. I do this because I have fun with it. I live for performing and like that rush it gives you. And music education was not giving me that rush that I wanted.
No, if anything, it's like the opposite. Because then you have to like sit there and walk that kid through to perfecting it or whatever. And then you like,
Yeah, and I didn't want to teach either.
Yeah.
The older I got, the more I realized that. I was like, that's.
You're like, I don't want to.
Maybe later, but not right now.
Yeah.
And I've always been very creative. Like, I just knew whatever I did end up choosing, I'd have to be doing something creative, kind of hands-on. And my cousin was going into graphic design, and she kind of mentioned it. She's like, just look into it, okay?
Yeah.
I think you might kind of like it. And so I did, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Still not, fully having a full grasp of what it actually was. And I was like, you know what? I'll just try it. And all of a sudden it was just like, oh, I like this. And then it just kind of dawned on me that I've been doing it already for a very long time. Like all throughout high school, my favorite projects were like these things called one-pagers, where I had to like fill a whole page with information and pictures. And that was always like my favorite, getting to draw out all the little illustrations and figuring out how the text was going to work around these pictures and everything. Like I was already doing those sorts of things, just not realizing what it was called. And when my homework just felt not like homework anymore, I was like, I think this is it.
Yeah. I think that's like, when you hit like, I think for me at least, like junior year to year on, it's not really homework anymore. It's projects.
Yeah.
But you don't look at it as homework. You just look at it, as a project, and it's fun. You enjoy doing it all. And it's like.
And what I liked about it too, because like I said, I hated music education because of the monotony and the same thing over and over again. But when I got further into the program and every project was different, I didn't realize how many things that, graphic design is.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could always be doing something different. I could always be creating something different. And
it's not like, just one thing.
Yeah. And that's
it's so diverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's perfect. I'm not going to get bored.
Yeah. There's always like something, like if you do get bored of something, you can always go to something else. And it's like still design, but it's just a whole different field.
Yeah.
Like print work. You're like, I don't like print anymore. Then you go to like digital work. So yeah. I know, that's really cool. I mean, this is one thing that I kind of noticed is like some people from at least our class, they did design related things before college. Mm-hmm. And I was like,
I felt so behind when they got to get talking about it. I was like, oh, we were supposed to do something before coming.
Well, like some people, like you could see like in either like our design classes or the drawing and painting classes, these people like are good at it. And then there was me who was just messing around pretty much.
I was like, I'm good at drawing, I guess. Like,
yeah. Well, it's like, my thing is I was surprised that they just let anyone get into like any art program.
Yeah.
Like with no portfolio or anything, which is, I feel like what they're kind of switching to now. But like, I only did one art class, like pretty much my whole life.
Same.
Like everything else was just all for fun. And it is funny though, because now looking back, there was some like typography stuff I was doing, like making custom type. But I don't.
You had no idea.
Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I was doing it because I liked it. But yeah, like literally going in, I had art skills, but they weren't that great. I don't know if they've gotten that much better. I know like design wise it has, but I remember I was like really into illustration. Mm-hmm. And at a point, like when we had to apply for the program, I was worried that they saw my work and it was like very illustrative. They're like, you're not a graphic designer, you're an illustrator, so go do illustration.
I submitted illustration pieces in my
I did too.
Portfolio.
Well, it was like
to get into the program.
I did too.
Just because I didn't have a lot of like graphic design pieces, and I was like, this is along the same lines because you do illustrate too.
Yeah.
But
I was just worried because like when they were walking us through the whole thing, they're like, make sure to not submit anything besides graphic design. Because we'll look at it.
Something opposite. They're like,
oh really?
Put in, other pieces too to show.
Well, they said
variety,
that, but they're like, don't like share something that's better than your design work. This is like what they're getting at essentially. Because then it's like, we'll see that you're a better photographer than a designer.
Nice, yeah.
So I was like, oh. I do feel like a lot of my work from the sophomore year was illustrative. I remember how that year went. I did all my work on my iPad. And I was like, oh, snap.
You're scared to use Illustrator?
Well, I was only using Illustrator on my iPad.
Oh, you were using it on your iPad.
But I was like, this isn't like, why does everyone else's look way better than mine? Because it's like you have more features on the desktop version. Yeah. And I was like, oh, maybe it's time to invest in a laptop.
I remember when we first, were like told, okay, it's now time to download the Adobe suite, I was terrified. Like, I had a complete meltdown when I downloaded it onto my computer and just like opened it up and like looked at all the buttons and everything, and I was like, there's no way I can do this.
That's kind of how I felt too.
And then it totally killed my laptop, and then I had another meltdown, and my dad ended up having to give me his laptop to get through that semester, and
yeah,
it was just like,
I mean, it is pretty like overwhelming if it's your first time. Like, I used Photoshop with like photo classes in high school, but it was only for photography. So you don't do any like, you just do like lighting and contrast, saturation, blah, blah, blah.
yeah.
So I was relatively familiar with Photoshop. And then Illustrator was like, why does it look so different? And I was like, I remember like, and I probably have like proof of it on some of my old files, but to fill like objects from my illustrations, I was just using the brush tool, doing.
Oh my God.
like if people look back, they're like, dude, what the hell is this? And I now know what to do now, but like it slowed down because this was still on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
It was making it super slow. It was getting so hot, and I was like, there's gotta be a better way. But I didn't know of anything, so I just did what I knew. And I was like, but now looking back, I was like, damn, look how much I've grown.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But yeah, like I remember in 277, one of our projects was like that like vacation pamphlet thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember they're like in the little project work document or whatever, they're like, we'll be using InDesign for this one. I was like, what the hell is InDesign? I was like, I thought it was only Illustrator and Photoshop and that's it. And then I look on it and I was like, oh my God, there's way more than just the two apps. And then this was like the point where I was like, I need a laptop because they don't have InDesign on an iPad. I was like, damn it. So I was like using those lab computers, and it was really bad. I know. I remember how bad it was. And I remember looking at it and being like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And when I submitted for the portfolio, I was like, God, this needs to change. So I like reworked it all, but I was like, I won't be surprised if they don't like accept me in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
We made it.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think everyone's like story about how they got into design is always interesting, because it's kind of like you either like got into it young because of a family member was into it, or you kind of like have no idea what you're doing.
A lot of people have like classes in high school now, a lot of graphic design classes, and I was like,
I wish I had that.
My high school had nothing. Like the only thing you could do was sports and music, and so
really?
I was like, I guess I'll do music.
Our like only like digital art class was like photography, and then they have like a video class. I don't even remember. I didn't do that, but that's it. Cause like I remember, like in high school, my thing was like, I don't think it was high school. I can't remember when, but I was like, it'd be cool to become a teacher and then teach, like, introduce graphic design to all these high schoolers. So it's like, they kind of know early on if it's something that they'd want to pursue. And then when they get into college, they have, like, a general idea of it.
Yeah.
But then that changed when I realized, like, how annoying high school kids can be now. I was like, well, damn, I guess that's out. But yeah, like I do wish. Well, it's like right now I think that like I wish that our schools had these types of classes. But I feel like back then I still wouldn't take it. Because I'd be like, why would I want to take that?
Yeah.
So, yeah. It is just interesting, like, at least with me, like how much you know, like one instance can really change your.
And I still get asked every time I'm like, I'm a graphic designer. People are like, what's that?
Yeah. I get that too with like all my relatives. And honestly, sometimes I'm like, I don't want to explain it. Or sometimes it's like, if you just look at anything and you see type, just think that's what I do.
I just always say, it's everything.
Yeah, like I try to like leave it. I was like, yeah, it's just a little bit of everything. Like,
Yeah.
you can literally, like, if you take all, like, even from what we learned from all of our classes, like, yeah, I would say it was not the best, but it's like, it was still good. But it's like, you learn marketing, you learn photography, illustration, UI, UX design. You know, a little bit of
Layout,
psychology
visual
too.
communication,
Yeah. So there's so much you learn. It's like, you can do a lot. You may not have like the credentials, but you can do a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of the best things that I've learned is being able to start your own like business or project, because it's like, you know that like you need a brand guide, you know how to market it, you know how to like figure out who your direct audience is, web design, all that. And that's pretty much all you really need to get started.
Yeah.
The money part's the hard part, I'd say. But besides that, it's like there's a lot to do.
There is, for sure.
So, yeah.
I think the biggest thing for sure is that visual communication aspect, that communication. And even with our podcast name, the spelling of 1-800-SAD-DESIGN is a good example of this. We wanted it to be a phone number, so we wanted design to be spelled with 4 letters. Mm-hmm. But if we were pulling all the letters from design, and none of them worked.
It didn't look good.
It didn't look good. It wasn't communicating design. It was like,
it was just like, even just like the DS, GN.
Yeah, it was.
It still just looked off. And I think for me personally, it was like, the reason why I like the Z is because you have the N at the end, and it's like, with the S, it's too many curves.
Yeah.
Like, it just seemed like too much.
Like, having the I in there completely threw off the whole phone number. It did not look right whatsoever with the I. And I pulled in the Z when I was typing it up for the first time when we mentioned the name when you brought up the hotline, and I was like, the Z in design, because that's what you hear when you say it. Design.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, just throw a Z in there, even though that's not how you spell it. And then all of a sudden, problem solved. It was.
Yeah. I think now looking back, like, I didn't really realize it then, but now when you look at it, it's like, it is like a nice split of contrast between the letter forms, because it's like D has the curve, and then Z all straight. And then G has a curve. So you kind of look at it like that. It's also like another design choice that we subconsciously made.
Yeah. I think that's why it was throwing us off, like, coming up with the spelling.
Yeah.
We subconsciously needed that.
Yeah. Well, it's like when I was sending it to some of my friends, and they know nothing about design, I was just like, what's the first thing you read from looking at this? Mm-hmm. And they said 1-800-SAD-DESIGN. I was like, perfect. That's all I need. Yeah. That's all I need.
And that's what we wanted to confirm after. We were like, well, it has to be spelled DZGN.
Yeah.
It has to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I asked a lot of people too, what do you see when you see this design? Okay.
Everyone saw it. So I was like, okay, so we know it works. We know like what people read from it. It may also have been like, they know like we went to school for graphic design, and like, we're probably working on something. But even for some of my friends, like, they're like distant friends of friends. They don't know like I'm in graphic design or starting this podcast.
Yeah.
They were even able to read that. So that was very nice.
But those are things, have to think about. Like, you don't always.
I guess that's probably the best way to describe graphic design is visual communication.
Yeah.
I'm going to start saying that to everyone.
Yeah. You don't necessarily always have to follow grammar rules. as long
Yeah.
as
It's
you're
like,
communicating what you need to, and that's what we ended up doing. And
that's kind of like the point of, that's actually the point of everything, I'd say.
yeah,
But logos are probably like where it's most important. Because it's like, I think everyone nowadays shops based on logo or name
how it
brand.
looks, the aesthetic,
Yeah. I know sometimes when I'm looking at stuff, it's like, if it's like their branded work, I was like, the logo has to be cool. Because like, you don't want to wear something if it's like a pretty bad logo. Even though most of the stuff I wear is like not even branded. But yeah, I think visual communication, that's like something, that's our,
the goal.
yeah. I was going to say something else, but I totally forgot.
Let me think about it for a minute.
Whatever. It was just a word. Anyways.
Figured it out.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think we can now go into our little design talk of the day. Like,
yeah.
going past, moving on from how we became designers in school and everything. Something I've realized from.
Well, it's still kind of, I guess the conversation still connects with visual communication, right?
Yeah, it does still connect with visual communication.
Segue.
Moving on. But something I've noticed about a lot of designers is we are overly, like, perfectionists. Like,
Yeah.
next level, everything has to be, control freak.
Perfect.
Has to be perfect.
It's a curse.
And, like, I feel like a designer's worst enemy is the creative process.
Yeah.
Because you're always looking for that, perfection.
Mm-hmm. I definitely perfectionist. Like, I just always have to, it has to be done a certain way. And if it's like I'm watching someone do something and it's like, and first of all, it's like either I know it's bad or it's like I would do it another way. I'm just like, please don't do that.
Yeah.
So sometimes it
There's
is kind of being like a control freak.
That pressure of what other people are going to think too. And so I think that's what drives us to be perfectionists. And especially if you're working with like clients and or like creative blocks.
Yeah.
It takes its toll, mentally.
I think something that also, like, at least with me, is like, growing up, my dad would always tell like my brothers and I saying, like, a lazy man works twice. And it's basically like, if you do a poor job the first time, you're gonna have to do it again no matter what. So I think like him always telling us that kind of gave me that mindset where it's like, gotta nail it the first time, because if you don't, it's either gonna like fall apart and you'll just have to do it again, or yeah. I mean, there's a lot of quotes like that. Mm-hmm. One quote I do like is from Parks and Rec. Ron Swanson says, "You never half-ass two things, you whole-ass one thing." And I always say that to my brothers. Yeah, it's like, you should always put 100% into the one thing. So I think that's, at least for me, why I like to have everything perfect. We'll try.
How do you kind of overstep your perfectionism sometimes? Like, how do you just tell yourself, like, this is enough, this is where I stop?
When it comes to deadlines, I'd say. Or it's like, you try to, like, figure out a solution to, like, something. Like, say something goes wrong, and you need to quickly figure out a way to, like, figure it out, bypass the problem. I'm like, all right, if I can't find anything within, like, the next couple hours, I'm just going to call it, and it's either, like, restart from the beginning or just drop it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It's kind of,
How I break the creative process and the perfectionism aspect is walking away.
Yeah, you kind of just, like...
You need to, enough, walk away. I go for a little walk outside, take a lap, and then
You said to, like, take a break from it, I think.
And then I either, like, get this grand idea, out on the walk that, fixes it, and then problem solved. But there's...
I wish.
I ask for an opinion, too. I've kind of trained my roommate Jacob to kind of see visually too and like notice things about design. And so now I'm always like, hey Jacob, can you take a look at this? And he's like, something's off. And I was like, yeah, what do you think it is? Like first glance. And he can usually point it out. And I'm like, there you go, you found it, you know.
That's
like,
nice.
And it helps to kind of bounce that back and forth.
Yeah. Well, that's
what
like
the problem is, and you either come up with a solution or you find the perfect answer.
that kind of also like goes back to like being a student where feedback is so important. Like I remember our critique times, nothing. I myself wouldn't talk, no one else was talking, and it's like those are really the most important times, at least of being a student. So it's like I think getting second opinions on stuff will also help.
Yeah.
Especially when you're stuck at a certain point and you're like, I don't know what's wrong, but I know something's wrong. You can always just send like a screenshot to your friend and they're like, this doesn't look right. Because even like non-designer people, they still have an eye for like what's good and what isn't. So sometimes it is good to ask those people because
they're the ones that are going to be seeing it.
Yeah. Like designers, I think no matter what, look at everything and critique it all. I think that's just
it's just something
who
I
we've
notice.
become. So yeah, I definitely do think like a non-designer person is also good to ask for feedback.
I agree. But yeah, perfectionism is definitely a curse, and it sometimes makes it hard to work with others, and
especially if it's like you work in like different ways. Like if you're like one thing like from our class group projects is like we're all so different, but sometimes you get put with someone that's super different and you're just like
you just have to go with it.
You just have to like figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
luckily that was something we didn't have an issue with working together. Like, yeah, we're both perfectionists, and like we talked about last episode when we were designing the logo, we finally just had to, because
we also have like two totally different styles. But then like for some reason when it came to this, we're working on everything. It's just like everything that we think of or create, we're both like, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Or it's like, that's exactly what I was
the two
thinking.
of us together, and it worked. And I think that worked because we kept passing it back and forth.
Yeah. And we were like kind of understanding.
We wanted both of us to be in a part of it.
Yeah. And we're like understanding like what our goal was for the end.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the whole, like how we were visualizing it just by talking about it. And we're like, okay, that's the direction that we're both thinking of. And then we just kept working on it. And yeah. It is kind of crazy,
we were
though.
able to overcome that.
Yeah. I thought it was like super crazy, just like how it was like sometimes when we're like messaging on Slack and you're sometimes just pulling the words like right out of my mouth. I was like, huh, I was just going to type that.
We had the same vision.
Yeah. And I was like, what are the odds of that?
Yeah.
I feel like it's so rare.
There was a sign that this podcast was
meant
to exist.
It was meant, yeah. It definitely was a sign, I'd say. So, yeah. I've definitely never had, like, worked with someone that I like, that's exactly what I was.
And most of the time when I'm like, how does this look? You're like, perfect.
Yeah.
Exactly how I pictured it. I was
well,
like,
because
cool.
it genuinely is. I also do think people sometimes, like, think I say that because, like, that's the type of person I am, is where it's just like, that looks good. But it's like a genuine thing, like, and I have been trying to like get into the habit where I use certain words to express my, like, how good it is.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think the best way to figure it is if I send a GIF.
Yeah, you send GIFs a lot.
Yeah, it's my side job.
It was definitely a sign. And speaking of signs, do you want to? We'll go into font of the week now.
It's font of the week time.
Ty and I did some designs with Papyrus.
Yes.
And he made a full sign at work. And he's
yeah.
gonna read
well,
it
I
to
did
us.
say I was the whole thing. Okay.
Yes, you have to read the whole thing.
So
We'll
I
show
made.
it first.
Yeah. I made a 12 by 18 plastic sign. I don't know if it's a sign or a poster, but it's something.
It's not made of paper.
No, yeah, yeah. I used papyrus, Comic Sans, and the one and only comic papyrus with an accent type of, I think it's Satoshi. It's like one of my favorite ones. But yeah, so I'm going to walk you through this thing real quick. So at the very top in regular papyrus, you have, there's nothing wrong with papyrus. Well, actually, I'm going to read it the way I designed it to be meant to be read. So at the top, there's nothing wrong with papyrus. And then you go down to the Comic Sans, where it says, just like how there's nothing wrong with Comic Sans. And then it says, however, ... some people may have strong opinions on comic papyrus, which I think is true. Some people didn't even know it existed. I didn't know it existed probably like 6 months ago, I'd say. And then I just added like a bunch of little small things, whether it's like things I just randomly thought of or like references to the SNL skit of Papyrus. But I'll read them off. So at the very top, it says, by day, I think I'm a graphic designer. And then below, or somewhere else, it says, by night, I am, in caps, a graphic designer. I think that's a good reference to how we stay up late to finish our projects. And I thought, yeah, that's pretty good to add. And then another thing I said is hot take. I feel like some graphic designers are hotheads, and other designers who aren't hotheads look at the hotheads and talk smack on the hotheads. I don't know if people do. I just thought of it. But yeah. And then in this big bubble here, it says sometimes all you have to do is put it in bold. And that's a direct reference to the SNL skit of Papyrus 2. Yeah. And then below that, it says Avatar was a Trojan horse for Papyrus, which I think is also true because I feel like that's how, at least for me, that's how I learned about Papyrus was Avatar. Which, by the way, if I never saw that skit, I would not be addicted to Papyrus. So there are people to blame for that.
It's not your fault.
No, it's definitely not my fault. It's I know directly, and I don't want to call them out, but I know who, and I've let them know that
He knows who he is.
It's not Brian.
It's not?
No, it's not Brian. I told her that this is because of you, and she just laughed. I was like, all right, okay. And then I have learning the ways of typography is a blessing and a curse, which I think is true. And then we go into a long part from the actual skit. It says, well, I guess I'll read it, but it's from Papyrus 2, from when Ryan Gosling goes to the Disney design thing and talks to the designer. But it just says, tell them what you did, and then all caps, tell them what you did. And then he sings, the Avatar's logo is Papyrus in bold, the Avatar's logo is Papyrus in bold, and yells, it's an afterthought. And then he goes and talks about how Avatar spawned worlds, every little leaf of every little flower, every little eyelash of every little creature, thoroughly thought out. But the logo, it's Papyrus in bold. And nobody really cares because they're like, who cares? They're probably not designers. And then he goes, does James Cameron care? He says, I don't think so. He's probably at the bottom of the effing ocean. So yeah, I just thought it was super funny. And I laughed when watching it. It
almost feels like an entire history of Papyrus, like a chaotic history of Papyrus on that poster.
Yeah, it really is, yeah. And then bottom of it is just another thing from the first SNL skit where it's like, it says, we know what you did, as like the designers know what the Avatar designer did as picking Papyrus. And then it just says hookah bars, Shakira merch, and off-brand teas, which is a reference to where you would see Papyrus.
Yeah.
Which is actually pretty true. So yeah, that's my poster.
Very nice. Maybe when
It's
I
a
edit
lot.
the video, I'll put them up on the screen so you
Yeah.
can see them closer.
We should make an Instagram post.
That too.
But it's a lot. But it's beautiful. And I am actually surprised how sharp it is.
Yeah, it turned out really well.
So yeah, it's my new magnum opus, I say. So yeah. What about you, Ayden? What did you design?
My font of the week is back there. It's the Monstera one. Again, I'll probably add a photo to the YouTube video, and you can see it on our Instagram if you're just listening to it. But papyrus gives this very like exotic kind of tropical vibe to me.
Yeah. I think me too.
And so I was like, I was looking around my house, and I was like, what gives me those vibes? And I was like, oh, the Monstera plant in my house. And so I kind of wanted it to feel like it was a home improvement like magazine page talking about like plants or something that you should buy for your home. And so at the top it has I think it's Miller banner type, the typeface. It just says like low maintenance beauty for the Monstera, very sleek, kind of modern. And then at the bottom it kind of shifts and it just uses papyrus and says the Monstera adds a lush exotic touch to your home with split leaves and tropical vibes.
Yeah.
And it's just simple.
But
I like the contrasting colors of the green and the orange together.
And I like the layering, especially with the low maintenance beauty.
Oh yeah.
You can see it on
I made the type orange and then put the screen overlay over it, so when it crossed over the leaves it kind of turned it yellow. And yeah, I was gonna add like some kind of grain over the top and I totally forgot about it until I printed it, but
I think it still looks fun.
Yeah, it looks a little more sleek.
If you add the grain, it takes away that whole,
I know,
like,
you know me,
I'm not
though,
a fan
I
of grain.
love my texture, and I'm like,
I do
wanna
too.
put texture on everything. I like can't help it.
But it's like, well, it's like with grain, everyone does it now. Where I look at it, I'm like, they use
Doesn't mean
grain.
anything.
It's not.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's still a good design. I just hate how it's kind of like overused now.
I get it.
But I definitely do
I
agree.
held back.
Yeah. I do think people are trying to hold back on it just because how used it is now. But I do agree with like papyrus being very like tropical, like foresty, leafy style of text.
Yeah.
So when you think about it, it is a good use for Avatar.
It works.
But yeah. But yeah.
That was a fun font of the week. We hope that more people will join us.
Mm-hmm. We're just
Next
trying to
time.
kickstart it. I think
Yeah.
if more people see like,
And we'll fill up the wall
yeah,
with designs.
We'll
I think
figure
it'll be
it
super
out.
fun.
but yeah.
But for next week's font, we chose, where is it? Salo Variable off of Adobe Fonts.
Yes.
We'll link it probably in the description on YouTube and elsewhere. I'll send it in the Discord to the Font of the Week channel. But it's by Mateos Machalaski on Adobe Fonts. Sorry if I butchered your name. But it's both sans serif and
a
serif at the same time. And it is so cool. And
I'm actually using that for my brother's font.
oh, really? I wonder
I'm
if
gonna
there's
use
a
that for
way
my
you
design.
could use both the serif and the sans serif like
Yeah.
together. I don't know. It looks like a really fun one to mess with.
It's a
so.
super cool one. It is more of a display, which I think will be a little bit easier to use. But it is, I think that's kind of why we picked, just because it's a serif and a sans serif. It's like two fonts
in
built
one.
in one. Because all you do is like change it to bold, and then it goes to italics.
Yeah.
So I saw that, and I was like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And
I think
so we
it's
kind of like
perfect for a
instantly
poster,
picked
for a
it.
display face.
Yeah.
I think it will easily pair with like any other font too.
Oh, totally. What did I pair it with? I don't know. I know I paired it with something. But yeah, it's a super cool typeface. Only one weight though, which kind of sucks. But I mean, you get the 2-in-1 thing, so that's super
Yeah.
cool.
I
So,
haven't seen anything like it before, so
Yeah.
when he sent it to the chat, I was like, yes.
Yeah,
need
it
to
was like
say
an
anymore.
instant yes. Well, yeah, even when like looking through them, I was like, ooh, I was oohing and ahhing at a lot of different typefaces. But then when I saw this one, I was like, this is the one.
Yeah.
This
I
is
agree.
Yeah. So yeah, it would be cool if we were to get more people, but I think it was good
fun for
if
us
it's
to do,
just
too.
us two for at least the first one, because people might be like, I don't want to make something totally bad.
Doesn't have to be anything fancy. Just like
Be
a
like
little
my-
creative exercise. Like
Like my
mine
papyrus
took
sign.
not even an hour, I think.
No, mine
Just
took like-
messing around.
Mine took an hour, I'd say.
Well, you got a lot of words on there.
Yeah, I had to watch back all the little skits to get word for word. So,
But
yeah.
yeah, just showing how, and I think that goes into our sad to rad this week. We didn't design anything and we didn't get anything sent in, but we were going to show some examples, and I'm going to screen record and put it on the video, and I'll also include the link somewhere to look so you can look at it.
Yeah,
If you're just listening to the podcast, probably on our Instagram.
Well, yeah, maybe we'll do
I think
like
it'll
a
be
reel.
like a video or like a post of here's all the stuff we talked about
Yeah.
in today's episode.
Or
on
we'll make a
Instagram.
reel. of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Something like that. But basically, so like if you're listening, you don't have to watch the whole video.
Yeah.
Because sometimes they're like, when I listen to podcasts and it's like they talk about something that's actually on camera, it's like, I want to know what they're talking about.
Yeah. So I think Instagram will be the best place to find what we're talking about today. But yeah, on YouTube, you'll see the screen recording somewhere on your screen. But these are just examples that we found on Behance.
It was like interesting, and it's like different perspectives of logo design.
Yeah.
Give them a little shout out on who it is.
Yeah, this is Derek Seiber on Behance. And yeah, he did a whole bunch of like logo redesigns.
For like popular brands.
Yeah, popular brands. And it could, for sad to rad, it could be something that you're working on that you need help with, or
And it's like, it
could
doesn't
be-
have to be whole redesign.
no.
It's more just like creative help, I'd say. Like maybe one day we'll take on a logo that we would want to redesign.
Or
Maybe it
if-
could be like one of our past projects.
There's something you want to share, like a before and an after.
Yeah, like something you did.
Yeah, then yeah, send it this way. But these I thought were great examples of kind of redesigns. You took these well-known designs and made them so much cooler, I think.
Yeah, well, it's like
Like this.
it's something like this is a challenge because a lot of these brands are so iconic now, where changing it would be like a bold move for the brand. But it's like, if you're able to take this risk and put yourself out there, then it's kind of like they might be more open to something like that. So,
Yeah.
because like the PlayStation logo, which is what we're looking at right now,
Mm-hmm.
it is so iconic because they've been using it for like, I think they've had the same one the whole time.
Yeah, I don't think it's
So it's like
changed.
on every single device and all that. So like, I feel like they probably wouldn't change it, but even just like the new one, it doesn't look bad. Kind of has the same text style.
Yeah, it's very sleek, a little more modern. I think the typeface pairs well with the logo compared to it previously.
Yeah, it's very
And
like
that the S is way easier to read than it was over here, because
I would say that
the way it cuts through is a little.
well, it's like, I remember when I started looking at logos and like analyzing them all, I at first didn't realize the PlayStation logo has a P and an S.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I would say for the new one is I do think the S is a little large. Kind of overtakes the P a little bit. But yeah, definitely like, I'd say it's a solid redesign.
The Adobe one he did's not much different.
No. If anything, it's
But it
just
is.
more like a more modern
Yeah, it's
take,
a
I'd
little
say.
rounder.
Yeah. Text is a little bit different too, I think.
I don't have a whole lot to say on this one.
Yeah.
GoPro, I did like the GoPro one. I liked
did
that
too.
he took like just the colors and turned it more into that,
Well,
camera lens kind
yeah,
of look.
because that's literally what they do.
Like,
and
what does this say
it's-
about GoPro? Nothing, but
They're
this
like,
get
"Oh."
camera out of
They're like, we just don't want the name let's add our color palette.
Yeah.
So I do think like
was-
having the camera lens is nice because it actually symbolizes like their brand because that's
Yeah.
pretty much
That
all
one
they do.
makes total sense.
Yeah.
And it's just simple changes like that can just make all the difference
Yeah.
for logos.
Well, it's even just like with a lot of rebrands, they just make it a little more simplified, more modern-esque, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of all you need. This Wikipedia one, I was kind of confused.
Yeah.
Because the old Wikipedia is like puzzle pieces with like those symbols. I don't know, Latin? I don't know.
Yeah, a bunch of different language symbols.
But then the new one, it just reminds me of transparency.
Yeah.
That's all I see.
I get that,
transparency. So I wasn't a huge fan.
And maybe that was the point, transparency. You know, because Wikipedia, everyone
Yeah.
can share on. It's where you go to find your information.
I'm sure there's
fastest. So I'm like, maybe that was the thought process behind it.
If it was, then bravo. It would be nice. It would be cool if they did like a little thought process to like what they saw was wrong with the logo and why they decided to redesign it.
Yeah.
Because I think that also helps, like, because that's why people do rebrands, is because the logo is not like translating the way they wanted it to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they redesigned a new one. So it would have been really cool if they included something like that.
Again, very modern, not
Yeah.
straight out of the 90s like this one is. The NBC one wasn't that different either. I did like how
the peacock
chose
is
to
more
overlay all the colors
Yeah.
of the feathers, because I'm like, that's kind of how the feathers actually sit.
and
Just
the peacock is a little more noticeable, I'd say.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even really notice it.
Disappears over here.
Yeah.
Really.
It's a nice one, I'd say.
I feel like this has way more personality too. Like, I just like the way he kind of posed the peacock as well.
Yeah. Well, it's even like when you look at peacock, like, isn't theirs just dots now? I can't remember. Like, their logo.
Oh, the actual peacock logo.
Yeah, for like
Yeah.
the streaming platform. I thought it was just dots. I don't know.
I can't remember.
But yeah, they did. Yeah, I do like the overlaying. I thought it was a nice touch.
Yeah.
It's a very modern touch, I'd say. I think a lot of people are doing some overlay.
Yeah, again, very simple change. The NASA one is kind of cool.
I personally was not a fan. Mainly because it's like that very iconic, like, NASA
Yeah.
text. Like, that is,
It
Very
feels a little too
futuristic.
clean now.
and then even with, like, I don't know what the NASA dot or the logo is. So I don't know what they're trying to
Yeah,
visualize
I don't
with
know.
that new icon.
I don't know either with the original, but with the new
Yeah.
one, I kind of do get the sense that there is like a destination, you know?
Yeah, it's
like-
kind of like going through a portal,
Yeah,
it looks like.
we're looking for something. We're traveling.
Yeah.
We're
I probably
looking to the future. Something
Yeah,
out there
well-
that we don't know. Like I do get that a little more from this one.
Yeah. I think I'm going to search up what that old logo actually is. Or, well, yeah. But I did kind of wish you'd see different text.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because that text is like,
It's
everyone
too
wears like those.
futuristic, like
Yeah. Well, and you see that everywhere. Like, you see that text more than that
Yeah.
serif text. So yeah. That's why I was kind of a little bummed about it. But
the Windows one was good.
yeah. Well, it's very like Windows 11-esque.
Yeah.
So I think that one was like really nice. Which,
Successful.
I mean, I don't know if they changed.
And this reminds me more of like tabs.
Like, yeah, having different tabs.
Having I was like, do I dare
Which I think it
open
was
all
like
my
a-
tabs? No, there's nothing hiding. But it kind of feels like that effect.
Yeah. Well, I think like, also with like Windows, when you open up like your file explorer and you like open up a bunch of different like folders, it does kinda,
Yeah,
like,
it does
open like that.
Yeah.
So I really like the Windows ones.
Yeah.
And the colors is just like Windows 11 colors.
The HP one isn't much different either. I like how this one kind of reminded me of like calligraphy, the way these little like endpoints kind of poke out like a calligraphic pen.
Yeah.
And kind of feel like tying into old like print process sort of.
Yeah, it seems like it's a mixture of
simple.
both. Because it is very, like, stylized and modern. But the little curves, those little points.
We don't have to go through all these. Where's the one?
Oh, wait, the Nikon one.
Nikon? We go Nikon.
Well, because, like, Nikon is a camera brand.
Yeah, this one we were confused about.
So,
we were like,
well, even their old logo, like, what is... I wasn't sure what that is.
What is it trying to represent?
Like, it might be representing light and how, like, light's important for photography.
Yeah, and reflecting.
But it's not clear. And then, even with the new one, I just thought it was like a duffel bag.
Yeah, it looks like a lock almost. And
Unless it's supposed to be, like, the viewfinder.
Yeah, some kind of camera reference at the same time.
But even then, it's kind of... It would have been interesting if he, like, were to use the O of Nikon as, like...
the lens of a camera.
Something
or
like
something
that.
like that.
Yeah. But that was something we were just kind of confused on.
Don't they do more than just cameras, too? I don't...
I have only known Nikon for
cameras.
They might do something else. But, yeah. But that was, like, something we were confused on. Which is why, like, it'd be nice to see, like, what they were thinking when they were designing it. Because then... I mean, even if, like, you have to, explain it,
be cool
it does
to
not...
see a bunch of different takes on this. Maybe we should change it for next week. It'd be like, we want you to redesign the Nikon logo to see what you come up with. How would you make this rad? How would you make it more, effective and communicative of what it actually is
'cause it's
representing?
Like, it would be interesting to, like, hear their thoughts.
Yeah.
But it's also, like, if you have to explain it, then are you really succeeding with what you want from the new logo if people are questioning it?
Yeah.
But
anyway,
the final one.
Next one.
Or is this the final?
This is not the final one.
Oh.
We'll do one more after it.
Okay.
This was our favorite one of the bunch. Is the cheese one.
I mean, pretty much kind of the same, but all they did was just make it all have the same, like, cap height, essentially.
Yeah, which I love because that eye drives me crazy in the original one. Why is it sticking up so much higher than the rest of them? Even this top of the C.
The overshoot's too much because it's not the same on the bottom.
No, because it's flat on the bottom. So why are those two just higher than the others?
So there's really, like, nothing wrong with the old one, but it's just, like, the new one
is so clean.
And then doesn't the old one have, like, a drop shadow on it?
Yeah. Well, the new one does too, but not as much.
But I just like how clean it is. Fits in a nice box.
Yeah, the extension of the Z and that squeezing in the little Cheez-It in there with that fun shape. It's so much fun. And I remember, like, all the Cheez-It commercials, like, when I was a kid. And they were always so, fun, had so much personality. And I feel like the new one definitely shows that personality.
Yeah, it's a really nice one. I do think, people may have strong opinions about, like, that's not the shape of a Cheez-It.
But it's fun. It's cute.
I definitely see, like, I feel like other designers would say that.
Yeah.
And then
it's close enough, okay?
But yeah, I really like it. I think it was super cool.
And then the last one we'll go over today is this Y Pro. I don't know what. I haven't heard of Y Pro before.
I haven't either.
In the original one, all those dots, it's a little excessive. And there's even, like, a gradient within them.
Yeah.
Like,
they each have, like, some of them have, like, a gradient in them.
And it's just too
when
much.
It comes to
like
print or
20
scaling
different colors in one logo.
Yeah.
And we were like, it would just get so lost at, like, small scale.
Yeah.
So this one worked really well, simplifying the colors, having that overlay, so it still kind of has that gradient feel, but it's not.
It's not like that clean gradient.
Yeah.
It's literally just one color in between.
Yeah.
So yeah, we thought that was really nice. I still don't know
Portal.
what the brand is, but
Good-
seems like
good
Wi-Fi.
improvement.
Yeah.
Simple but good improvements, and that's kind of what this
Yeah.
segment is.
Yeah.
Critique space, slash, um, just sharing your work, changes you've made.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's some examples for that segment there. Okay, gotta stop screen recordings.
But yeah. Sad to rad. If you have anything, like, we won't, like, make fun of it at all, you know?
No, we
It's,
talk through it. Share
Yeah.
what's working, what's not.
yeah. From another, like, designer's eye. Like, it's always good to get feedback. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad, and it's kind of like you just have to, deal with it. You won't always get good feedback. Like, sometimes you may like something and others won't. And that's just how it goes sometimes, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't really know how long we were at now.
I don't know either.
But, did we hit everything?
We did hit everything on the list today.
Heck yeah.
We did
That's not our correct time, but
we like to talk.
yeah. Once you start talking about design, it's hard to stop.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think that will do it for this
Yes.
episode. Episode 2.
We're done.
Don't know what it's called, but it's done.
Oh yeah, I know we have to come up with a title now. TBD.
Yeah, maybe that'll be the title. But yeah.
Yeah. Another thing, Patreon. Please subscribe to our Patreon.
Yeah.
We're working on sending out sticker packs soon to all of our Patreon subscribers. Not soon.
Give it some time. We gotta figure out what we're gonna do. Because we said we were gonna make more designs, first of all. I've been thinking, I haven't thought of anything. And then,
Weeks.
yeah.
I
Few
mean,
weeks
soon.
is 3 or more. So.
Yeah, but you got to get people prepared.
I know. Well, I know. I'm just trying to clarify that so no one's
you get
like.
sticker pack eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll figure out something through Patreon where it's it's free. I think we're doing free, right? And then basically you just put in your shipping address and then we'll send it on to you. If you want a hand delivery, you can pay an extra. But yeah, we definitely want to do sticker packs for Patreon. We're trying to think of more content, like bonus episodes, or just figure out how to get
There'll be
nothing
more
really
behind the scenes there, and
well, it's nothing behind the scenes wise. I don't really.
working on it.
Yeah, we're figuring it out. It's a work in progress. So.
But like we said last episode too, all the money we make from Patreon is going towards the betterment of the podcast.
Yes.
So if you'd like to see something here, go subscribe to Patreon.
Yeah. Maybe let us know what you'd want to see.
Yeah. Hopefully we can make it happen.
Yeah. I wonder what people would like to see in the back.
Yeah. And a reminder too to join our Discord channel. And so you could chat with other designers, share your, struggles, your sad designs, your font of the weeks, and reminder to do the font of the week to be put on the back wall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, right now you're limited to 8.5 by 11.
Yes, that might change, but 8.5 and 11 is easiest.
I'm hoping it'll change within the next year.
Yeah.
But yeah. 8.5, 11, or if you want it larger, send it to us. But email us if you want to send it to us.
Yep.
But yeah.
Yeah, and if there's a story that you'd like to share to be featured on the podcast, please
maybe your
us.
Graphic design story and how you've,
we
stumbled
would
upon
love to share it.
Yeah, I'm sure if you have a super unique story, how you got there, what school you went to, why. Yeah, just let us know.
Yeah. Because I'm sure you'll get real tired of hearing Ty and I talk about our stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
So
Which eventually we will get some guests, but you know, we said 5. I don't know, maybe more. I don't know. We're figuring it out.
It's all coming in time.
Yeah, we've got plans.
Yes.
But yeah. Alrighty. Are you gonna sign us off?
Yes, I'll sign us off. So
Alrighty.
thank you for tuning in to 1-800-SAD-DESIGN. Until next time, keep designing, stay inspired, and dial into design. Bye.